first off, I just hope everyone had a very happy new year. I had a pretty good new year myself. I am very excited for The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild coming out. I actually have a Legend of Zelda calendar for this next year because I'm pretty excited. I'm in my hype mode, let me tell you. So, welcome to my review for Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. I have the original NES cartridge. So, like, the first Legend of Zelda game was like a mega hit, like a blockbuster game for Nintendo's entertainment system back when it was released. And Nintendo spared very little time at all in making a sequel to the immensely popular game called Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link. Now, Shigeru Miyamoto wanted this game to be radically different from the first game, and let me tell you, it is about as different as any Zelda game has been from just about any other Zelda game. Instead of the top-down view that the first Zelda game had, this game had more of an RPG style to it. Like, Link would roam around in a top-down view, but he would run into enemies on the screen and it would resort to sort of a 2D plane, so the gameplay during combat scenarios and the dungeons was a lot more similar to something like Super Mario Bros. Or Castlevania than it was to traditional Zelda gameplay. Now, Zelda 2 is often regarded as the black sheep of the Zelda series because of its many differences. But in recent years, a lot of people have been sort of speaking out, being less shy about the fact that they think that, yeah, you know, it was actually a pretty good game. And I'm gonna jump on the bandwagon and agree with them. I think Zelda 2 is a great game. I really like it, and yeah, it's different from the other Zelda games, but it's not always a bad thing. I think that it provided a fresh, interesting perspective for the Zelda series, and honestly, I think it would be interesting to sort of see a more refined version of this kind of Zelda style someday. Even if I prefer the top-down overhead perspective for Zelda, I still really enjoyed Zelda 2. One of the things that Zelda 2 doesn't get enough credit for is the fact that it brought in some series staples that we hadn't really seen until Zelda 2, such as magic. Like, Link can use magic in this game, like make himself less vulnerable to damage, you know, he can take more hits, he can use spells to cast lightning, he can use spells to even turn into a fairy. You heard me right, a little fairy, the itsy bitsy fairy Link. I find that amusing. Also, this game, what I like about this game is the combat. I think the combat in this game, whereas in the first Zelda game, you were basically just, you know, hacking and slashing at enemies until they died. In this game, like, the combat actually makes it feel like an actual sword fight. Like, especially when you're fighting the skeletons and the Dark Nuts. Like, they have their own movesets, they block, and you have to actually have really solid reflexes. You have to really look at how they're fighting, and I think that adds a sense of tension and strategy to the game that I really enjoyed. The first Zelda game was much more just hacking at enemies. It didn't require that much strategy to beat them, as fun as it was. Also, Link's sword moves directly inspired many of his moves in the Super Smash Bros. Series, like his down thrust, up thrust. Of course, the spin attack wasn't in this game. That didn't come until A Link to the Past. And a lot of things about this game carried over to later Zelda games, even if the core mechanic, being more of a side-scrolling RPG-style action game, did not. Now, Zelda 2 was also the first Zelda game to actually have towns and settlements. Now, a lot of Zelda games have towns now, but back in Zelda 2, it was the first one to do that, to actually have townspeople you would talk to. You know, you could learn things about Hyrule and even get some new skills, and that was really cool. Speaking of style RPG action game, this game you can actually level up Link. It's sort of a pseudo Final Fantasy-ish setting. Like, you can attack enemies, you can gain experience points, and you can level up, and you can level up either his attack power, his magic power, or his life power. Now, I really like the level up system. I do think it adds some strategy, but of course the downside to it is it requires a lot of grinding, and I mean a lot of grinding. Like, you might spend like a few hours just grinding if you really want to be as powerful as you can be. And like, especially when you get to the palaces, they start out pretty simple and straightforward, but they definitely ramp up in difficulty the more you go. So you'll want to be fully powered, especially by the 6th palace. You'll want that extra life, believe me. Now, what I don't like about this game is the fact that, unlike the first Zelda game, where it had a save feature, this game has a save feature too, but in the first Zelda game, when you died in a dungeon, you still had the option to restart in that dungeon. Now, granted, you only had 3 hearts when you started, but it still gave you the option. Not so in Zelda 2. If you die in a dungeon, you have to start all the way back at the beginning of the game. And you have to travel all the way back to the dungeon where you went to, and that can be a really big hassle. It can be really annoying when enemies are spawning and touching you, and you have to like get out of the enemy screen, and it just gets to the point where I just want to get back to the darn dungeon already. Like, especially near the end of the game, like, I really felt that. So, and other things I didn't like about this game were, so this game has sort of a life meter, like, you have 3 lives in this game. Like, you also have like a heart system, although they don't look like hearts in the game, but like, if you die on 3 times, then you have to start over. But what really bothers me is, like, there are these weird flying enemies, especially in a lot of the dungeons and palaces, and like, this game has platforming sequences, which I don't mind for the most part. I think it can be pretty fun, like having to jump over lakes and little rivers. But like in the dungeons, there's moments where you have to jump over lava, and there are these like flying heads that just will always like sometimes come at you from either direction, sometimes the opposite direction, and they'll knock Link right into the lava, and he'll die immediately. Instead of just making it so you took a little bit of damage, you die, and if that happens to you 3 times, you gotta start over. This happened to be a lot near the end of the game, and I got really mad and almost threw my controller out the window. Flying lessons. All in all, the gameplay and the controls themselves are very solid. To control Link, you simply use the command cross on the NES controller. You can move him left, right. You can also, you press the A button to make Link jump, and you can aim his jumps somewhat with the command cross. You press the B button to use Link's sword, and you press the start button and use the command cross to select whatever spell you would like for Link to use, and then you press the start button to exit, and you press the select button to actually activate the spell. All in all, the controls work basically flawlessly, and I have no problem with them. Now, of course, like in Zelda 1, you have dungeons. This time around, they're palaces, and basically the story of the game is the first Princess Zelda has been sleeping for like millenniums. Her brother cast a curse upon her, and Link has to save her, but the only way he can do that is he's told by Impa that he has to find the last piece of the Triforce, the Triforce of Courage. And he can only do that by going to the 6 palaces and getting the 6 crystals and making it to the Great Palace, where he actually has to fight his own shadow. Now, every palace you collect keys, you find an item, like, for instance, you'll have a lamp in one dungeon which lights all the dark caves and areas that you'll find throughout the game. You'll get like the magic hammer, which can help you break blocks and walls. You get a raft, you get a pair of magic boots so Link can walk on water. Whatever that reminds me of, hey? Yeah, the dungeon design in this game is definitely very different in a lot of ways from the first game, but still a lot of fun. I really love the palaces. They're actually probably my favorite part of the game, because I just love how it's very combat oriented. There's a lot of keys to get, there's items and treasures to find. Definitely very maze-like. Some of the dungeons, in particular, one of them, can be pretty amazing. Now, visually, I think this game looks good, even to this day. Like, definitely one of the better looking NES games. The music in this game, definitely not up to par, in my opinion. I mean, the one thing that stands out to me is the Palace theme. The Palace theme is really cool, and it was actually used for the Super Smash Bros. Series, which I think is awesome. That's like the one memorable theme in this game to me. The overall theme I didn't mind at first, but unlike the original Zelda game's music, which I can listen to without ever getting bored or tired of it, this music, like, some of the music, like, just started to get a little annoying to me towards the end of the game. It wasn't actually composed by the same man. See, Koji Kondo is famous for creating the beautiful Zelda theme, but he did not compose the music for this game. It was a different person. And so the music, gratefully didn't fit the Zelda series in my opinion as much as it could have. The last thing I want to bring up about this game is that Zelda 2 does have a second quest. Now, it almost has a bit of a New Game Plus-esque feel where when you restart the game after you've beaten it the first time, Link will begin the game like fully powered with whatever level he was at when you beat the game. So like if you had full life, full health, full magic, full attack, you'll start out that way and you'll have all your sword moves and magic moves right off the bat. Now you'll still have to find the items in the dungeons again and find the heart containers and magic containers. But overall, second quest is fun, but it's there if you want it, so that's worth pointing out. All in all, Zelda 2 is a great game. I actually just played it for the first time in 5 years. It was actually around 2011, right around Skyward Sword's release, that I just finally buckled down and beat Zelda 2 and realized it was actually a pretty fun game. And now that I have this little dude, the NES Mini, I got to play it again and remembered how fun and how frustrating it can be at times. But still in all, if you haven't played Zelda 2, I'd recommend you at the very least give it a try. Sure, it's different from other Zelda games, sure it might not be for everyone, but I definitely recommend you that you try the game and make your own judgment for yourself and see if you like the game. Who knows? It might just be right up your alley. And with tight controls, good solid gameplay, fun action sequences, interesting boss battles, Zelda 2 is a game that I definitely say check out. Thank you for watching my review of Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. And until next time, Happy New Year!